So our topic today is continuing our OEM-specific ADAS training, and this week it is on GM, General Motors vehicles. So your Chevys, your GMCs, your Cadillacs, and so on. And much like any other manufacturer out there nowadays, they use the same basic components, I guess. I'm sure they're probably different brands across the different OEMs, but we have radar, which they use for adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring, front and rear cross traffic alert, and so on. They use cameras. They have the front view camera that every car, just about every car nowadays, has on the windshield for front view. There's also rear view cameras and 360-degree view cameras. Ultrasonic sensors for park assist and what they call advanced park assist, which helps you parallel park in a in a parallel parking spot, I suppose. Now, one thing that they also do, and we'll delve into this a little bit later when we go live on the tool, is they use what we would call sensor fusion. We've talked about this a little bit in the past, but they take this multitude of sensors on the vehicle, use the inputs, use some processing, and it is what they call super cruise. And on certain roads, mainly highways, I guess, you set this super cruise and you do not have to have your hands on the wheel. Now, this is one of the few manufacturers where you don't even have to have your hands on the wheel. You can just kind of sit there. However, it does have a camera that monitors the driver's attention. So if you open up the paper or start scrolling on Facebook or something like that while it's doing that, it's going to say, no, we can't do that. You still need to pay attention. But it allows you to just kind of let the vehicle go and travel, and you can change lanes. And depending on conditions, sometimes it may even change lanes for you and go around slower traffic and so on. So this is one of the more advanced hands-off systems in the industry right now. Other manufacturers, of course, have other varieties of this. Like Ford, we talked about a few weeks ago, has what we call Blue Cruise, but it doesn't have as much functionality. So this one, and it's kind of interesting how GM did this, by the way, because other manufacturers are trying to integrate LiDAR into their cars to do this and so on. But what they did is they set out a fleet of cars equipped with LiDAR that map the roads, and then when that map is to a certain extent, they'll upload it, and then it downloads into the car, and then you can now use super cruise on those roads that they've mapped and so on. So they're using LiDAR to do it, but they're using LiDAR on their own vehicles to map the area, right? And another thing I thought was interesting is I'd known about this for a while, but I just first started looking into it for this class, but I didn't realize they had like a big LED in your field of view or at the top of your steering wheel there. So I thought that's kind of interesting choice, I suppose. Other manufacturers, they use like a heads-up display type of thing, which I think may be better. But whatever. I'm not an automotive engineer, so I didn't design it. That's how they have it work, and what we're going to look into a little bit more as we go on a little bit later when we go live. But for now, as we do in this class, we take our sample vehicles, our top sellers from these last 10 years or so, 10, 12 years, and we are going to see what's going on with these particular vehicles. So the highest selling vehicle for GM is the Chevy Silverado GMC Silver Sierra Twins, and the highest year volume was 2015 in that particular year range. So cameras, got two cameras, got a front view and a rear view. Front view looks out the front, rear view looks out the back. 8 parking sensors, 4 in the front, 4 in the back. And this was kind of a cusp year, 15. So I guess depending on the RPO code, which is the option codes that GM uses, it may have radar for distance adaptive cruise control. It is interesting how they did cruise control up until that point, though, because they would use the camera for distance sensing. And they still do use the camera for a bit of distance sensing as well. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But for the front camera, of course, it's up in the windshield, right? And in order to do that, you see when we go in the scan tool, we have a camera system for front view, parking assist module, which is basically the majority of these in this 15. But this distance sensing cruise control, as I said, was an option on some of these. So we'll go on the camera system first, and there's a functional test for that. And then they have a front view camera learn. Now the front view camera learn, as we're going to see throughout this, is going to be essentially the same across the board up until even if you saw the pre-roll video that was before this class, it's pretty much the same even now on a 2324. So starting the front camera learn, this is an important notice though. Starting the front camera learn procedure will delete the learned values. So you have to finish this once it starts. Otherwise, it's not going to be calibrated at all. Must be finished in order for the camera system to operate properly. Following conditions are necessary and helpful to reduce the time needed to complete the front camera learn procedure. At this stage, you need to verify if these conditions can be met. They will be displayed again when you are requested to drive the vehicle later. But if any of these conditions can't be met by you in whatever neighborhood you happen to be in, it's suggested that you don't do this, right? Because it clears the values, and then you're going to have to drive the vehicle in these conditions to make it work. Ensure the windshield's clean. Maintain a vehicle speed greater than 38 miles an hour or 60 kilometers an hour. Drive in a straight road with visible stationary objects on both sides of the road. Drive during daytime and good weather. Avoid changing lanes. So if you can't, let's say it's nighttime and it's raining, then you're not going to be able to do this. It has to be good visibility. Learn process will take approximately 5 minutes, during which the lane departure warning indicator will be illuminated amber. When the indicator changes to green, the process is complete. Easy enough. And then basically it puts it in a learn mode once you hit that button. And it says, now start to drive the vehicle. Following conditions are necessary, and it reiterates what it said on the last screen. So we go, put it in a learn mode, drive the vehicle. And then please make sure the indicators change to green before I hit continue at the end. So I'm driving down the road. Maybe I got a buddy in the passenger seat, something like that. Or maybe I just drive down the road and it turns green. Then I pull over safely and go over to the scan tool and hit continue. Once it's done, it'll say front view camera is complete. Another thing that they integrate with the lane departure and so on with these vehicles is, and there's a lot of manufacturers that do, it's a haptic seat. Right? You may have a haptic steering wheel, haptic seat. You may have both. But the first time I experienced this was in a GM vehicle, right? So that's how that's how I was able to experience that. So it was kind of weird. I just kind of drifted over the lane one time, and the right side of my butt vibrated. And I said, "Whoa, that's a little weird." So that was the first time I ever experienced it. It was at a rental with one of those vibrating seats. Now, pretty much everybody has them, but as I said on these vehicles in this year, it was kind of a cusp year, so I actually couldn't find a diagram of a 2015 radar module. I'm sure it's pretty much the same as it would be on, say, like a Suburban, which started around then too, which is basically bolted to the frame in the front behind the bumper. So that's kind of where it is. But as I said, they also use for the cruise control, they also use the front camera. So distance sensing cruise control, we do have the option inside the scan tool, however. And then there is a codes and data, but of course a distance sensing cruise control module learn. So once again, very much like the camera, it's going to say start the learn procedure. We'll delete the learn values. Once the procedure has been started, it must be completed. Green vehicle icon indicator will flash while on learn. Do not back out of the procedure or press any other buttons until the calibration is complete. Drive the vehicle within the following conditions for 10 to 30 minutes or until calibration is complete. Service driver assist message will turn off when the calibration is complete. Must be greater than 35 miles an hour, 56 kilometers an hour. Avoid extreme accel or decel. Follow one or multiple vehicles. Typical traffic is sufficient, but vehicles 30 to 50 meters or 100 to 165 feet away are most effective at decreasing the calibration time. Drive on a straight road with many stationary objects at the side of the road. So we're going to hit continue, and then we'd drive. And then it's going to say press continue when the green vehicle indicator stops flashing. Once again, pull over to the side of the road when that's done. Hit continue. Activate the cruise control by setting a speed. So that now it's going to verify that it's actually working. You're going to drive the vehicle, set a speed, make sure the cruise control does what it's supposed to do. If it does, you hit yes. If it doesn't, you hit no. In this case, we'll say yes, and then it'll say it's done. Right? Simple enough. Notice that if you've been following along with these classes, this is the first radar I think we've come across that does not require an actual target being static. All these relearns we're going to see with GM are all dynamic relearns. You drive down the road to make them learn. I haven't been able to find, I suppose maybe a 360 camera might have one, but I really wasn't able to find any procedures that said you needed to do that. Usually it's just driving. So pretty much anything on a GM, if you want to get into ADAS and you want to calibrate stuff, I would say these would be the least scary ones to do because You're driving the car down the road. That's all you're doing. Don't need any special equipment. Don't need any special targets. Don't need any tape measures. None of that. You just a scan tool with the proper software, and then you can drive it on down the road. So if there was any manufacturer that I'd enter into the ADAS world with, this would probably be the easiest one, I'd say. Rear camera, no calibration for that. It's just a camera. You replace it if you need to, and it just kind of sits in the back in the tailgate, kind of near the like underneath the handle there, right? Easy enough. Same thing with Park Assist. On this one, we will see one a little bit later. It's kind of interesting, but on this one, it's just a plug and play. They go, right? So no scan tool operations for that either. It's just codes and data. Park Assist system. Next one is going to be an Equinox or Terrain, depending on Chevy or GMC. On this particular model of 2019, has 2 radars. There's one for blind spot monitors in the back. 5 cameras that they use for adaptive cruise control. The front view camera, this is one of the ones I was talking about where they use the front view camera for adaptive cruise. And then a 360 view as well. There are 6 ultrasonic sensors on this for Park Assist and advanced Park Assists in this case. So it has the where it can steer you into your parallel park. So in this case, front camera, same type of deal, right? We got it up there on the top, kind of shoots out the front from the windshield. And you notice we have a couple more additions to this. So we have camera system front view windshield, functional tests, and then it has the front view camera alert. And guess what? That procedure is exactly the same as the 2015 Silverado. So we're not going to walk through it again. It's just drive the vehicle under the correct conditions, and you're good to go. Rear radars are in the corners of the bumper, and there really isn't a whole lot to tell with those either. So side object detection module would be functional tests. And then in here, we don't even actually have a relearn for that, so to say. We have the alert indicators, functional tests to make sure they work. Audible alert, haptic alert, and cross-traffic visual alert. So that'd be like in the screen. So that is just a, it's going to force it, force whatever to happen. No resets or relearns required. Just kind of plug it in and go. Same thing with the rear camera. Plug it in and go. 360 camera. Pretty much plug it in and go either. There was no functional tests in the scan tool for this particular thing. It's just kind of a drive and it resets because as you can see, just kind of clips into the mirror. There really isn't any sort of, really not a lot of calibration to be done with that, I guess. Because it's assuming that the vehicle is set up properly and square and all that good stuff. As far as Park Assist, got a bunch of sensors in the front, got a bunch of sensors in the back. So it's actually 6 across the front, 4 across the back. So there's ones on the side there, and those ones on the side are for that advanced Park Assist system. Now, in this case, you go into the Park Assist module, and you're going to be based on the RPO code. So that's the option code that they use. And advanced parking assist with semi-automatic steering would be the advanced one. Park assist with only rear sensors or park assist with front and rear sensors. So we're going to choose that one. And we can go into module setup. And in this case, there is a park assist sensor learn for this particular vehicle. So I don't know what they changed along the way and what they do differently than other OEMs, but park assist sensor learn there is. And ignition on, engine off. Make sure there's no objects within 20 inches of park assist sensors. That's 50 centimeters. And then it counts down for a minute. And then turn off ignition and remove the key. Open and close the driver's door. Avoid operating any accessories. Wait approximately 2 minutes for vehicle to completely shut down. So you continue through there. It gives you a 2-minute counter. And then the procedure is complete. So it walks through a minute of whatever it does with the park assist sensors. Make sure everything's off. And then good to go. Then we have a 2016 Malibu. In this case, 3 radars, blind spot monitor, and it does have adaptive cruise. 2 cameras, which it could also use for adaptive cruise control. It depends on what it has for an option. Front view, rear view cameras. 8 ultrasonic sensors for park assist and advanced park assist. Front camera, same deal, goes in the windshield, much like before. And as I said, they haven't really changed the procedure since they came out with these cameras, so it's going to be the same procedure for that. Drive it down the road. Rear view camera, no procedure for that. It's just a camera. Front radar goes in the front behind the grill there, kind of like right behind the emblem, pretty much. And it's going to be the same deal as we did with the Silverado. So No need to go back through that again, but I just thought it's kind of interesting that they just used the same thing across the board, found that it worked, and it works. That's what they do. Rear radar, same deal. We're going to have the same instances as we had with the Equinox, right? It's going to be all different indicators and visual alerts and stuff we can trigger. And then this one was interesting. So in the Park Assist module on this one, it's going to be in the bumper, of course. But if we go into the Park Assist module, there's a CAN bus configuration learn that needs to be done on this model year. So not every vehicle is exactly the same, which is why we need to go into the module on the vehicle and see if there's any resets or relearns available. Or we can go into the reset and relearn menu if we have a tool that has that. Also notice, like I said, haven't seen mention of a target anywhere, haven't seen mention of a string or a tape measure or a chalk or anything. Right? Like I said, this seems to be the easiest OEM to go and do a relearn on, which is fine. Wouldn't it be nice if every manufacturer was that way and I didn't need a massive board to shoot to calibrate a camera, right? So, all right, let's go live real quick on this scan tool. Let's just look at a couple choices here. I think I want to go into the Equinox because that had the multiple choices on the Park Assist sensors. So we see sorted under ADAS. So we have the Park Assist module there. And we have the one with the semi-automatic steering. I want to see if there's any other options in there. So functional tests is going to be switches, clear the history data. And then for module setup, Park Assist sensor learn. So that's going to be the same as it had with the four-way, the other one. And if we have just rear sensors, what's the option? So Park Assist sensor learn as well. And there we go. All right, so it's all going to be very similar. And a video processing control module works with those 360 cameras, but you'll notice there aren't any functional tests necessary for it. That's just going to be codes and data. And then if we come down here a little bit, I think there's another thing here. Yeah, pedestrian alert sound control module. So that's for low speed, makes a sound for the, so you don't hit people. So people don't walk out in front of your car. Supposedly. All right, now there's another one I wanted to look at. So I wanted to look at one of the ones with the Super Cruise, right? So we didn't really do a deep dive with that, but I wanted to go in this 24 Tahoe. And it's got a lot more options with it. Because it has the Super Cruise. So it's got all the bells and whistles. And you'll notice if we go under ADAS, we have automated driving mapping module. So that's where, like I said, they LiDAR map roads, and then they upload it, and then it downloads into your vehicle. So there's a mapping module for the vehicle. So it knows if it can be on a road that does it. Front view camera, guess what? 2024, it's going to have the same exact front view camera alert. Same exact one. Once it's started, it won't finish. It takes approximately 5 minutes. All right. Let's see. Park Assist. Let's see if that has a one of those relearns we talked about. Nope. No relearn needed. Let's see. And then as far as the radar, same deal. Radar sensor learn. Drive it down the road. Have not found a single target. And I'm pretty sure I won't. So even got stuff for the video displays in the seats. Video processing module doesn't have any relearns. It's got short range, side and rear, front, rear, and side radars as well. And on those just have a clear short range radar sensor vehicle position. So it doesn't even have a reset or a relearn for that either. Now, also of interest, I have the Super Cruise up here. So yeah, you can drive down the road and just make sure you keep your eyes on the road because it'll tell you. So it uses let's see, technology functions with OnStar and uses real-time camera sensors, GPS, and LiDAR map data to detect curves, helping to make long drives and commutes more comfortable. Can do lane change on demand, can do automatic lane change. Also, largest hands-free driving. Here's how it goes against the competitors. I don't really care. Like I said, it is one of the most advanced ones, though. So compatible roadmap. That's a lot of roads in the U.S. I don't think it's outside the, yeah, it's not outside the U.S. Oh, it's U.S. and Canada. So U.S. and Canada, they've mapped. So let's zoom in a little bit on, you know, Kenosha area, right? Where we're at. That's Milwaukee. That's a little too far. But yeah, it's pretty much all the main roads there. These are like state highway roads over here. So yeah, you could use Super Cruise all the way up the main interstate, up through there, and then even across some of the, you could even almost get to the Snap-on headquarters using Super Cruise with that. That's just like a main road right there. So you could always go to their website and look at a map for your neighborhood and see where it's at. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. And yeah, like it says, turn it on, make sure it's green, and then let go and enjoy the largest hands-free driving network in North America. When not to use Super Cruise. When you're not on the right kind of road, it probably won't even work. Difficult or uncertain driving conditions, lane markings are poor, in a tunnel, slippery, otherwise adverse conditions, road, shoulder, or service drive, towing a trailer on a freeway, exit lane. And it is only available on their EVs and their larger SUVs, so Traverse, Tahoe, and Suburban. And that's it. So no, I don't even know if they make cars anymore, honestly, but just thought that was kind of interesting. And this would use that. Now, another thing that I did find in here, looking through information to do this. Oh, I don't know. Let's say it's a high country. Sure. I'm just going to look up information on Super Cruise. Go to the service manual here. Accessories, ADAS, and then repair instructions for Super Cruise. I think it was Super Cruise. Oh no, it was the where is it? The image processing module. Oh, dynamic sensor was, I think was. Yeah. So vehicle dynamic sensor. So it's on a certain RPO code, but vehicle dynamic sensor does not require calibration. Often, calibrating the vehicle dynamic sensor may be required after certain service procedures are performed, like replacing it, or if I get this code right here. Offset calibration procedure can be completed with a scan tool using the following steps. I have to go into, this is not intuitive, which is why I brought this up when I was looking through this. So vehicle dynamic sensor offset calibration. This is kind of like your yaw and pitch and roll and stuff. Go into scan tool and go into image processing module processor 2. So in this case, it is down here in audio, video, and infotainment, image processing module 1, processor 2. So that's in there, and then there is a functional test for the vehicle dynamic sensor offset calibration, but I'm like, that is not very intuitive at all. I would have thought it would have been somewhere else, honestly. So just thought that was there's a little tip for you. If you ever get in trouble and you need to for some reason do that and calibrate that, it's hidden in this weird module over here that you don't think of, but it's there. So in that case, that is ADAS on GM. Like I said, pretty straightforward. No targets going on. It's just kind of a drive it and go. You do need the scan tool to initialize it, so you need to make sure you have the proper software on that. But it's a Snap-on scan tool. You already got it built into the software. It comes with it. So with that, let's talk about what we're going to talk about next week. And next week is going to be one of my near and dear favorite subjects. I like talking about lab scope stuff, and we're going to talk about lab scope stuff versus scanner stuff. We're going to talk about lab scope and scanner, using both of them to diagnose, and when you should use one and when you should use the other. Spoiler alert, you're probably going to want to use the scope more often than you do. So we're going to talk about that next week. Same time, same place, as always, every single Tuesday, 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern time. Other times available for your time zone. 6 p.m. Eastern class goes live to YouTube. And as of right now, the 9 p.m. Eastern class does not go to my Facebook page because for some reason Facebook deactivated my page this week. I don't know why. They said I was impersonating Snap-on. I work for the company, but okay, we're working on it. We're trying to get it reinstated. But for now, 9 p.m. Eastern will only go to Zoom because I don't have anywhere else to send it on Facebook. So you can go to snapon.com/OT if you want to learn more and register for Zoom. Also, if you want to see any of the other classes in this series, anywhere from Intro to ADAS, which I did 5 years ago now, up to Back to Basics. This is episode 111 we're doing right now. So they're all available on YouTube. YouTube.com/Snap-on Diagnostics. You scan that QR code right down there. It will bring you to the page and subscribe you. If you are watching on YouTube, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe and all that good stuff. All of those are free. All right. And then do we have your email address? If you don't have your email address, you're missing out on some good information like technical focus articles, SureTrack blogs, quick tips, new product releases, and much, much more available out there. They send out my schedule periodically as well. It's only like 1 or 2 emails a month. It's not like we're going to spam you every day like I know some companies spam the heck out of me, but it's going to be things like, here's a technical focus article on helping you diagnose a stress timing chain, or a SureTrack blog, or something of that nature. So if you don't get our emails, scan that little QR code right there, punch in your information, and then we will go and start sending you this stuff. So pretty good information. All right, up to questions. I see I got a few on YouTube. I'll get to those in a second. And if you're on Zoom, if you do have a question, just make sure you use the Q&A function, top or bottom of your screen, wherever that happens to be. Before I do that, though, I've always got to make sure I mention my buddy Keith, who does new product training. So if you have a scan tool, a Snap-on scan tool, and you want to learn how to use it, you want to learn how to use it more, you want to learn what does this button do, Keith can help you. So it is every Wednesday is on Zeus and Zeus Plus, and on Thursday it's on Train and Apollo tools. He goes from everything from soup to nuts. Let's set up the tools, set up the Wi-Fi. Let's talk about Snap-on Cloud and Security Link and all that good stuff. And then he goes through everything code to completion, fast track intelligent diagnostics, goes through all the buttons, all that good stuff. And that's about an hour. Takes a break, about 5-minute break. And then at the end, the last 45 minutes or so, he goes through scope and meter functions, guided component test, all that good stuff. It is one time in evening, so 7:30 Eastern. Translate to your own time zone. If you got to go to snapon.com/OT to sign up, because it is Zoom only. It's kind of designed to have the tool in front of you, and you can ask questions and all that good stuff. All right, get to questions regarding the class. So on YouTube, I got a few. JLE Lobo is saying hello, welcome, thanks for joining us. Nick's welcome. What? Nick, welcome from the UK. I know it's late. Get some sleep. Dodo says hello. And let's see. Nick says he can't wait for the next training. The Winton says hello. Baja Joe says, on the Zeus when graphing PIDs, can you overlay 2 PIDs when graphing? No, you cannot. That is not a function available at this time. I know we have mentioned it, talked about it, asked about it, so maybe in the future, but not right now. As of this time, no. Let's see. And then Nick says, how can I get ShopKey on my Zeus? You cannot, unfortunately, because you are in the UK and it is in North America only for that. So you would be just be using a Snap-on information service over there, which I think is basically not Haynes Pro. That is outside of North America. That's Haynes Pro. It's in Australia, UK, Europe, and so on. We just call it Snap-on information service. So ShopKey not available over there. Sorry about that. Claude says, which vehicle has a combination static and dynamic calibration? As far as GM is concerned, I didn't see one. I know there are a few. We may be seeing it in a few weeks on Honda, I believe. It's either Honda or Toyota. But we already done Toyota, and I don't recall seeing one there. I think it's a couple of the Asian manufacturers. It is a static and then a dynamic to finish off on that. Let's see. And Nick loves oscilloscope training. That'll be next week. Excellent. He's happy about that. And then Baja Joe says, thanks for the answer. So you're very welcome there. Thanks for the question. And with that, Nick says, free training, can't sleep. All right. Well, he's too excited for free training. Hey, I can't say as I blame you, right? All right. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. Hopefully we learned a few little tips and tricks on GM. Like I said, it seems pretty easy to me. I would have no problem going out and doing a calibration with, just need a scan tool. So good with that. Hopefully you'll, oh man, I just cannot talk today. Hopefully you'll join me next week for, scanner versus scope. That's it. That'll be a fun, exciting one. And then, hopefully we'll see you next time. So with that, enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. Have a nice night and take care.